uh, called me yesterday and he said, "Oh, Hari, I forgot to tell you, there's a marathon going on." I said, "Of course I know there's a marathon going on." And Balabhadra Prabhu is an old book distributor. Like me, he worked Atlanta Airport, I worked Philadelphia Airport. And the an old book distributor never dies. He just fades aside sometimes. But it doesn't take much to reawaken that spirit, that compassionate spirit of being a part of Lord Chaitanya's army. So he's told me, he says, "Listen, why are we only doing 108 cases?" He says, he says, "I've collected donations. I'm doing 4 cases of Gitas." He said, "So for Philadelphia, put me down for 4 cases of Bhagavad Gita." And then Anutama spoke with him, and Anutama said, "Well, I don't distribute. I don't have that much to do." Bhagavad said, "Get some books. Buy some books. You and your wife sit down at the table and distribute them." So Nutama Prabhu, he's fired up as well. And I've been feeling the pressure of distributing several cases of books. I think that the onus is on me to distribute 10. And they tell me more. And I don't have that much time left. But anyway, I've got a couple sales in the wing. So they're coming in. But as for you, and this is because our marathon, this marathon is conducted by one of my old Sankirtan warriors. I mean, he was a chieftain back then, and now he's truly a chieftain, and that's his Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu. He's put together this marathon, Give to Live, and we're supposed to distribute in Philadelphia. We're going to distribute a couple million Bhagavad Gitas, but in Philadelphia, we only have to distribute 108 cases. Balabhadra said, "Double it." He's thinking like Prabhupada. So anyone who can, between now and Gita Jayanti is Christmas Day. How glorious. How glorious. On Christmas Day, we're going to be reading Bhagavad Gita. So if you can buy a case of Gitas, you buy that case of Gitas. Use that as your service. And you distribute that case of Gitas. Use them as Christmas gifts. Well, they may not like it. Well, how many gifts have you received at Christmas that you didn't like it? But, give those gifts, because you're giving a person the opportunity to get what you got. When you think of how your life has been changed, what if they put it on a bookshelf and the granddaughter gets it? Or a friend who comes in the house picks it up and starts skimming through it. These books, Prabhupada said, are like bombs. They're time bombs. We never know who the seeds are meant to be planted in which heart. But he said if they read one word, one line, then their lives will be changed. And I hold that very true, because just by reading some words, I just, "No, are you, is this for real?" And I just kept going and kept going. And so that is important. And that is Sankirtan. Remember, Lord Chaitanya, who we're following, who's Krishna, wants everyone to have love of God. Not he wants all of them to have love of God. Where Krishna was saying, well, you surrender. But Lord Chaitanya's in the mood of Srimati Radharani, because she's figuring, well, surrender. How's that working for you? You know how ladies are. You tell her, "Yeah, I'm getting them surrender." "Oh, is that working for you? Are they all surrendering?" Well, some of them are. Okay. Well, why don't we do it my way? Why don't we just give them love of God? You want them to have it? Give it to them. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that combination of Radha and Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And because he's so benevolent, because Lord Nityananda understands the mission of Lord Chaitanya, then Lord Nityananda is even more intense. He's so merciful. He's our Adi Guru. He's our original spiritual master. So by taking shelter like this, it's not some mundane book selling, gift giving. This is giving the gift of life. This is understanding that this human form of life is so rare. And if I have the opportunity to help one more person what to speak of 10? Just imagine. And Krishna said, that Bhagavad Gita is full of benedictions. And Krishna said, and he, who studies this sacred conversation of ours, worships me by his intelligence. But he said, and he who preaches Bhagavad Gita to the devotees, for him, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he comes back to me. Check that out. Put that in your tank. Just by giving the gift of Bhagavad Gita to someone else, become very dear to Krishna. Anyway, so I had to tell you that because that's who we are. We are trying to purify our existence. We're trying to join that Sankirtan party of Lord Chaitanya. And so we're going to go a little further today, and we're going back to the Nam Rahasya because we have...
Haryasva Prabhu, before we get there, can I just say a couple words about the book distribution?
Of course you can.
In the newsletter, if you're interested in sponsoring and purchasing Bhagavad Gitas, there's a couple ways you can do it. One way is in the newsletter that came out this morning. There's a link there that you can buy online. Another way is if you want to, at the temple during darshan hours, at the front desk, you can sign up for Bhagavad Gitas as well. I'm putting in the chat the name of our book distribution leader here in Philadelphia, Dana Tarpata Prabhu, his email address and his phone number, because in addition to getting the books and purchasing them, we also do...
Muted, Prabhu.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I put Dana Tarpata Prabhu's phone number, email address in the chat. So there's other things that we do with regards to book distribution. ISKCON Philadelphia participates in the Motel Gita program and also getting Bhagavad Gitas out to prisons. We try to focus on the ones around the Philadelphia area, but within the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware area, prisons, as well as hotels and motels. So if that's also an option, you can purchase Gitas to go for that cause as well. If you're unable to, distribute all your Gitas yourself, you can also sponsor to go to the motels or like that. So his number is there. Yeah, it's wonderful. Great conversation, Haryasva Prabhu. Thank you for bringing this up.
This Gita program going to hotels and prisons, we got to give a big shout out to Bhakta Charles. Bhakta Charles has been doing this for years and years, and he's been smoking, And I remember I used to take Bhakta Charles out on Sankirtan, and we take him in his little we go out in his little fancy car, his Jaguar, and he didn't like approaching people. So he'd come back and he'd give his money. And I said, well, you did good, Charles. But he was giving his own money. He was tricking me. But Krishna still took his heart. Krishna still snatched him and forced him. So now Charles for years have been distributing books to hotels and to prisons like that. So anyway.
Yeah, when you say smoking, I know he does a case to 2 to 3 cases a day. He sits on the phone, he calls the prisons, he calls the VA hospitals. He's pretty amazing. He's really become a book distribution warrior. He's amazing. Yeah. Yeah,
that Charles is something.
Yeah.
Couldn't beat me back in the day when I had some energy though. I was on that field. I was on that corner in the airport. But I have to get back out. I have to become alive. And this chanting and your association is what I think is going to take me over the top. So today, I'm only going to stay with you for a short while, but we're going to read some from the Nam Rahasya. We've read some of this before, but now we're moving into it in a different way. You've had some understanding of it, and this will help us in our devotional lives. It'll help us with our chanting. We had Japa Reform Notebook Now we're going to go hear about chanting the holy name on 3 different levels. And Satchidananda Swami, I just so adore him. He's done so much to help me as well. So we're going to read from this book. Mother Shobha Radhe.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Mother, I'm going to read a little bit of the introduction. Do you want to read some today too?
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. So, and I'll get Jay-Z to help me. And well, why is it so small? Mother Seat's got. I used to know how to make this font bigger, but maybe I'm not in charge. I'm not.
I think Mother Vrindavaneshwari, she can increase the size of the font.
Mother Vrindavaneshwari, make the letters, make it big.
I'm working on it, Prabhu.
Okay. Because you know I can't see, I can't hear, but hearing is not my problem. I got to give you all a shout out. I hear everything these days because I've got my hearing aids on now. So it's just awesome. This is another side benefit of becoming old. These are all, gifts that are sent to you from Yamaraj. He lets you know, I'm coming. Face starts to crack up, teeth loosen, can't see that good, and you lose your hearing. Eventually, that's all I'm going to say. Okay, so, but I've got my own book, so I don't have to worry about that. Mother Vrindavaneshwari is not even feeling that well today, so I'm sending out a shout for her too. You feel better, Mother. So I'm going to start reading from my book, from the introduction. Okay. Introduction. This book attempts to give an overview of the inner journey to perfection. Someone might ask, justifiably, if it is possible to use a general outline to chart an individual's journey. First, let me say that general outlines are useful. It is important to learn from those who have traveled the path before us and reached the goal. Their experiences can teach us what is ahead. Yet, we must also acknowledge that each soul's journey has its own twists and turns. Each journey is highly individual. Some travelers will stay at one level for a longer time than others. Others will find shortcuts on the path by attaining special blessings. And yet, others will discover traveling techniques that work well for them, but may not work so well for others. So a general outline does not exclude individual experience. The Krishna conscious life is always dependent on the very specific relationship of an individual soul with the Lord, and on how the individual responds to Sri Krishna's call to resume that relationship. I have arranged my text in 3 parts corresponding to Nam Sambandha, Nam Abhideya, process, and Nam Prayojana, the goal. The 3 divisions of Vedic knowledge in relation to the holy names. Thus, part 1 is about establishing our relationship with the divine names by gaining correct understanding. Part 2 and 3 describe the means and the end of chanting. That having been said, I would like to conclude by encouraging my readers to take to the science of chanting in all earnestness. Universes of sweetness await us all. And part 1 is approaching the ocean of the holy name. There comes a time in each of us when everything seems superfluous, except the longing of our awakening soul to find its own truth path. This is from his Japa diary, a retreat in 1999. And so the first one is going to be awakening from the dream. Mother, you start reading, I might stop at a certain point. It might get too good and we have to talk about it, but this is the first part. And Dronacharya called me this morning. He said, Hari, are we going to do waking up from the dream? And I said, Well, we've done that even a couple of times, but it is so exciting that every time you go back, it opens up that much more to you. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Waking up from the dream. When the soul slowly awakens from the dream of material life, it can understand that it has long served ungrateful masters, the mind and body. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes, at that time, the awakened soul says in effect to the mind and body, I am not identical with you. I do not want what you require. I have long believed that I was identical with both of you and that we shared the same interests. But now I find that I am categorically different from you. I am made wholly from the principle of self-consciousness, while both of you are made of dead matter. I refuse to be a slave anymore. Vaishnavism, real and apparent.
I'm going to stop just a moment. I want that to settle. Did we hear that? I mean, what a shout out to, I'm not my body, I'm not my mind, I'm spirit, soul, and I've had enough. I have had enough. This is an awakening when we tell our body and mind, listen, I'm different from you. I thought we had the same thing in common. We don't. You're interested in sense gratification. I'm interested in self-realization. I refuse to be a slave of yours anymore. I love this. And I hope you're feeling that, because this is the point we need to come to if we're going to really engage in devotional service. Sense gratification and self-realization go nil together, Srila Prabhupada says. And somehow sense gratification keeps coming up. Why? Because it was our desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. But now, due to good association, that's why we chant Om Gana Timarandasya. You know, Gananjana Shalakayat. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. All of us was born in this illusion. But my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Who did that? Srila Prabhupada. And you get specific. So understand that this is our moment. Okay, mother, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Keep moving.
Oh, how much courage and support the soul requires at its moment of awakening. As a person who has just begun to regain consciousness after a deep sleep is still drowsy and in danger of again being overwhelmed by bad dreams, so the awakening soul is in danger of again closing its eyes and lapsing back into unconsciousness. Beginners are often divided souls with tendencies toward both material and spiritual life. Srila Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur states that when we initially gain a drop of faith and begin to think, let me become a Vaishnava and serve the Lord, the concepts of I and mine are still there, though they are a little more spiritualized. We often suffer from a divided mind, torn between the good things we now truly want, or at least know we should want, and the things we actually do. The new will which we begin to develop is not yet strong enough to overcome that other will, strengthened as it is by long indulgence. Those old habits have grown into fierce masters that seem to come alive with all their brutal force once we wish to escape their unrelenting rule. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur movingly describes the precariousness such a person experiences. Alas, how unfortunate I am, having fallen into this insurmountable ocean of material existence. I am being thrown here and there by the violent waves of my wicked desires. I cry miserably at my helpless condition. But I do not see any hope for being saved. What should I do? How will I be delivered? I do not see any solution to my dilemma. Alas, alas, I am most unfortunate. Take me to you, my Lord. Take me up to the shade of the cool dust of your lotus feet. Oh, have mercy on this wretched self. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Bhakti Viveka.
Just hold it for a minute. I want us to think about what you just read, Mother.
Mm.
She is reading this is such wonderful reflections. Phew. I love when he says, I am being thrown here and there by the violent waves of my wicked desires, and I cry miserably at my helpless condition. We have to take responsibility for the precarious situation we find ourselves in. If you're looking for someone to blame, we found the enemy, and the enemy is us. The wrong desires, the previous association, all comes from us. So by the grace of the Supreme Lord, it's been minimized. But we have to, that's what it means to take responsibility. We take responsibility for our suffering, for our previous actions, and now we're trying to move forward in the light by taking the association of these great souls like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Okay, come on, Mother.
From these lines, an intense mood springs forth and enters the devotee's heart. There, these words create a steam-like pressure that powerfully moves the devotee forward to bridge the otherwise insurmountable gap between the material and the spiritual planes of existence. He or she can then enter the spirit of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fifth prayer, which goes something like this. O son of Nanda, Krishna, king of the country of love, I appeal for your affection. I am your servant. I feel deep within myself that I have some connection to you. I am subordinate to you, but somehow I am now in adverse circumstances. There are so many enemies within me trying to take me away from you. Therefore, I cannot give my full attention to you and your name. At the same time, I feel from the deepest place in my heart that you are my master. You are all and everything to me. My heart will never be satisfied without your companionship. So I appeal to you. I am under unfavorable circumstances. I am suffering, and without your grace, I do not find any relief from my present imprisoned condition, as quoted in a lecture by His Holiness Mahanidhi Swami. The sincere crying of such an honest person quickly reaches the Lord's ears. To the ears of a worldly man, this crying may sound like a shameful admission of one's complete failure as a human being, but to the Lord's ears, such crying is a sublime vibration, a sound that he has been anxiously awaiting for a long time. This sound pierces the strong prison walls of the material universe and moves the Lord's heart. He then begins to make concrete plans about how to assist the awakening devotee. The first phase of the Lord's divine rescue plan is to send devotees onto the fortunate soul's path. As such persons stand at the crossroads of material and spiritual life without knowing which way to turn, they meet the devotees sent by the Lord, and if they are humble enough, they become willing to learn how they can be delivered. Through the words and actions of his dear devotees, Krishna implants faith in his holy name, faith that bears in its womb the powerful seed of bhava, the bud of ecstatic love of God. Let us summarize. After fortunate awakening souls have seen their precarious situation and have met true devotees of the Lord, they are given by these devotees the seed of Krishna consciousness, which includes knowledge about how to cultivate love of God. The prime process by which they can develop love of God is to chant the holy name. To clarify, Krishna appears in the life of the conditioned soul in the form of the holy name, which is both the sadhana, practice, and the sadhya, the goal of practice. Chanting the holy name is both the way and the goal, the means and the end.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. That's just some unbelievable writing there.
Oh, mother. I tell you, this is, but it's the same writing. The reason it's unbelievable is because we're waking up.
Yes, yes.
It would mean very little.
Yeah.
To the wrong ear, it's whining, whining, whining. But to the awakening soul, I love this. Okay, let's talk about it. You always want to talk stuff. Every time I look, people want to talk. Let's talk about it. Find your place here. Share, find your awakening. What does this mean about your endeavor, your experience, your traversing the path of bhakti?
I think today I'm just realizing my gratitude, that verse Brahmande Bhravite, in this whole wide universe. I had the good fortune of coming into this. I mean, I could have been just so lost, continued to be lost, but so grateful, so grateful that I came into this association. And coming is a very big thing. It is maybe half the problem. Like they say, to fix any problem, you must first identify what it is. So coming here is half of it. The next half is the sadhana. Got to improve it. Got to improve the sadhana and praying that this association will make it happen.
Well, Rupa Goswami says, Srila Rupa Goswami says that, just get the association. Take the high association which is being offered. There's Srila Prabhupada is so amazing. Devotees would have to go so far to find, a real sadhaka, or an empowered devotee. They'd have to travel so far. But Srila Prabhupada, he's made this house, that everyone can live in, and it's full of saintly persons, and it's full of, and our community, our society is full of those souls who heard the message and understood it, and they put it into motion. And as you'll hear, as we go on, there's two types of souls. Some of them are here, and some of them part in the spiritual world, and they've just come here. But the point is, that strength that you don't have, I don't have it either. But it's by the association of the devotees I get the strength to move forward. It's so powerful. You know the story of Narada Muni. You know what happened to him. And there's so many stories throughout our literatures. So it's funny because when I hear your name or when I see you, I become enlivened. I think, oh, Mother Shobha Radhi, she's such a nice devotee. And that's because Krishna allows me to see your feature. And you're thinking, well, I need help. But it's nice. You're on the path. You're doing wonderful service. This is a powerful, powerful sangha that we have. And that word you use, gratitude, that word will drag you back to the spiritual world. If you keep it, that gratitude will take you back home, back to Godhead. Okay, thank you, Mother. Is there anyone else who has
Hari, I think one of the most amazing and most important points that he makes is how he maps out that, yes, we come to the movement, we meet the devotees, we start chanting, and we become interested in the spiritual life. But then there comes that crossroads where you have to draw that line in the sand and say, it's enough. I'm not going to have the same life and relationship that I had. I'm not having the same, relationship with the mind, having it control me. I'm not going to be a slave to my senses. The game is on, the war is on, and I know it's going to, keep coming back at me and keep trying to take me away from, my new commitment, but I'm going to fight. I'm going to stay in it. And I'm going to beg Krishna to help me to not fall back into Maya, to not become a slave again to my senses and to my mind. And that line in the sand is when spiritual life really starts to become amazing, where the relationship with Krishna really opens up and, it becomes deeper and more palatable. And, you can just feel it in your life every day and see how he moves in your life, how he's changing things and bringing you along through the devotees that you meet and the circumstances that appear in your life.
Did somebody tell you that?
No, Prabhu, that was a real live experience. Yeah.
When they speak of humility, you always hear that we have to be humble and speak of humility, but they generally don't tell us that generally before there's humility, there's humiliation. And material nature, she's just ruthless. She just breaks you down and breaks you down. She humiliates you. She just beats you down until you say, Krishna, what? Krishna. You can hardly get it. I can't hear you. She beats you down. And you think, I don't need this relationship. This relationship is not working for me. There has to be another one. There has to be.
The other important thing is sometimes it takes years to get to that point where you draw that line in the sand. You come and at least for me, you come and you chant and, in the beginning, Krishna gives you an unsurmountable amount of mercy. We all get that, that new devotee taste. And then, he kind of takes it away, makes you long for it. But, I don't think it really comes back until you really get serious, until you really, make that decision that this is what my life is for, and I'm not having it any other way.
Well, remember this, there's a broken relationship and Krishna didn't break it.
Yeah.
So
it was us.
Once the awakening is there, then in a humble mood, we try to gain an understanding of this relationship, what it entails. What do you want what do you expect from me? And Krishna so openly explains to Arjuna, if you want to know the truth, you approach a spiritual master, but you have to do this, with submission, and service. Don't be absurd, none of those, submission and service. And they'll impart knowledge unto you because they've already seen the truth, And so this is another turning point because and the items of knowledge, approaching the spiritual master is actually an item of knowledge. It is the most essential item for one who takes to the personal path, because without the spiritual master, what do you get? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that as well. We sing it every day. So it is so important that we associate, that we are not offensive, that we remember our precarious situation, that we see the devotees the way we saw them, in the beginning, with gratitude, and see them as servants of God. Don't see this one as a jerk, or I don't like her attitude, or he said this. That stuff comes from the material world. We don't need to bring everything with us. Leave some things on the curb it, leave it right outside the gate, and look at ourselves as individuals who are trying to make a difference with ourselves. We're trying to make a change within ourselves. And if we see that, we'll be grateful for the help along the way. There's a lot that we can go through with this, but I know the time was short this week, and this week I have to go. I have to do something. I have I have to get ready for a big party.
Nice Kurtahara, you look nice.
Well, thank you. Vishnu
Yes, dear.
Gadad Prabhu gave me this kurta.
Very nice. It's very nice, yeah.
Well, I threw my other one in the trash by accident. Anyway, I did. That's spaced out. But anyway, it's my Guru Maharaj's Vyasa. It's the Vyasa Puja today, so I have to prepare for that. And I feel so grateful that if it wasn't for my Guru Maharaj, how would I be able to have your association, the association of all of you?
The
So-
picture you see in my profile is Satru Das Swami's Vyasa Puja.
Oh.
See that picture you see in my profile there?
Mhm.
That was up in Stuyvesant Falls at his Vyasa Puja.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not going to Stuyvesant Falls today. COVID's kind of rascal, but
So you're going to Zoom, it's going to be a Zoom?
yes, we're going to be on Zoom.
That's very nice, very nice.
So, are there any other before we sign off? I know it was short today, but this gives you a yearning, and so I'll give you some good stuff to leave with. You know, it's like a lover and his beloved. Last night we said goodbye. Now it seems like years. I'm back in the city where nothing is clear. The thought of me holding you, bringing us near. Now tell me, when will our eyes meet? When can I touch you? When will this long yearning end? And when will I see you again? Although those are mundane words, that sentiment can be experienced as the real awakening takes place. Ayi dina dayadra natahe, matola nataka davalokashe, redam twam aloka kataram, dayate brahmyatim kim karam yaham. Oh my Lord, we have to think in the mood of Madhavendra, oh most merciful master, O master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? So we can hang on at, and Nam Prabhu is Krishna. That's Krishna. Imagine when we wake up and realize that Krishna in the form of sound came to us. He came to us to save us. This is mercy. This is affection. This is compassion. So we have to take it, Anyway, let's see what happens. Thank you so much, Prabhus. Anything next Mother Vanika, you put things in, you write them down. Because next week I'm going to really use a lot of time for going through the next section. Mother Shobha Radhe, I want to thank you so much for your beautiful reading. I want to thank Mother Brindavaneshwari for getting it together and getting it online. I want to thank Mother Sudevi, Mother Shamagori, and Mother Shobha Radhe. Mothers, y'all were smoking it. I mean, you were so good. I was so happy with your presentation. And I was happy that you were working together as a team. I'm so grateful to have mothers like you. Prabhus, whatever. I like calling you mothers because you're so affectionate. You're so good. Thank you so, so very much. Okay, that's it. Dronacharya, what's next?
Okay, we can conclude here for today. There was a email that went out. I don't know how many people got it or didn't get it, but this Nam Rahasya is available online. I got the PDF of it. I think Mother Ranika sent it to me. Anybody that's interested in getting a copy, I'm just going to put my email address down in the chat, and I can forward it to you. We should somehow come up with some way of giving a donation, I think, to Satchidananda Swami, because we're getting it electronically. If you didn't purchase it, I know I didn't purchase it. I got a PDF of it, but maybe at the end as Dakshin and as a sign of gratitude to Maharaj, we should maybe come up with some type of collection if we use it this way. I think it's only appropriate. But if you want a copy of the PDF, I just put my email address in the chat and I can forward it to you. You can read along, you can read ahead. These sections are really good if you read ahead of time and then
Oh, yeah.
devotees. It's very wonderful reading. It's not, no more to say about that.
I could jump in real quick on that too. I actually got it from his website as it was like $4 as a Kindle file. So you could actually upload it into your, if you have a Kindle app on your phone, computer, on his website, it's like $4 to get the electronic file, and then you can actually read it in a Kindle viewer, which is what I was displaying today as well. But I love the donation idea. I think that's, regardless, that's a great idea.
Wow.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, everybody have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. We'll be back here tomorrow morning for Srimad Bhagavatam class. And we have class every morning starting at 7:50. If you want to join us from Japa. Oh, also, Sita just posted that she has physical copies of the book as well. So if you're interested in getting a physical copy, I don't know how many she has left, but she got some last week from Haryasva Prabhu. If you're interested, reach out to her and she can get you a physical copy of the book. I know she's at the temple on Sundays. You could probably pick it up there or make arrangements with her. Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Rona, tell them to read this section, more merciful than Krishna himself. That's the next section.
Okay, you just told them.
Okay.
All
Hare Krishna.
right.
Vanchakal Patrubhya Kripa Sindhuvekya
Vaishnaveyo, Vaishnaveyo, Namo Namaha.
Solo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Hare Krishna. Hare
Krishna.
thank you
Krishna.
so
Krishna
much,
Krishna. Hare
Prabhus.
Rama.
Thank you, devotees.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you, mothers and brothers.
Take
Hare
care,
Krishna.
everyone. Take care.
Krishna.
Thanks,
Hare Krishna.
Sweetie.
Hare Krishna.